In this video, we're going to talk about an insane new way to take any turntable to the next level. Here we have an optical cartridge by DS Audio. We decided to test it out for ourselves, and here's how it went. What did I expect to hear from a DS Audio optical cartridge? Well, I'd heard a lot of good things about it. I've read a lot of good things about it, and they all kind of use similar language about, digital light cleanness, but with the analog soul. Now, what is an optical cartridge and how does it work? A lot of people, when they hear the word optical cartridge, they think of a laser attempting to read a groove in a record, because that has been attempted before. But what the DS Audio optical cartridge does is very different. The DS Audio optical cartridges still have a gem stylus, diamond or sapphire, and they still have a cantilever, and they still output an analog signal. What makes them different from any kind of cartridge that you could get before, namely moving magnet or moving coil, is that they are an active pickup design. They are an active transducer. They require a certain amount of electricity to work. The system in this cartridge that turns movement on the grooves of a record into electricity that a phono preamplifier can read has three main parts. There's an LED light at the front of the cartridge, and there's an optical sensor at the back of the cartridge. And in between is a beryllium foil shade that blocks the light. That shade is attached to the cantilever. When the cantilever wiggles, the shade moves in and out of the light beam, showing more or less of the light to the optical sensor. That's how movement on the record turns into electricity. So the DS Audio cartridges have a number of advantages over more traditional cartridge designs, namely three. They've got lower weight, less magnetic resistance, and a much higher signal-to-noise ratio than a traditional cartridge has. The beryllium shade is extremely thin, and it's a very lightweight metal, so the amount of mass that the cantilever is vibrating back and forth is very small compared to even the next lightest, a fine moving coil design. So this reduced weight makes the cartridge more sensitive to minute vibrations of the stylus, and it also creates less internal resonances in the cantilever design because there's just less sprung weight to wiggle back and forth. Secondly, an optical design like this has a lot less electromagnetic back force compared with moving magnet or moving coil. Thirdly, a DS Audio cartridge has a much higher signal-to-noise ratio compared with any other kind of cartridge. So this means that you'll get a much blacker sonic background from a DS Audio system. DS Audio makes dedicated equalizers or phono preamplifiers for their cartridge, but increasingly more and more companies are offering their versions of phono preamplifiers that work with DS Audio cartridges, including AVIC, which is how we heard about the cartridge. Now, if you're into turntables, you've probably already heard of DS Audio and know a little bit about their optical cartridge technology. What a lot of people don't realize is that they've got an incredible backstory. The founder of DS Audio, Aki, his father is the man responsible for developing the optical mouse that we all use today. So this family knows quite a bit about optics. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that this kind of optical cartridge has been tried in the past. In the 1970s, Toshiba produced an optical cartridge that worked on the same principle. But because they didn't have the sophisticated LED lighting back then that we have today, their cartridges suffered from reliability issues when the filament light would go out, and it suffered from heating issues because, of course, filament lights are pretty hot. Fast forward to modern times. Aki hears a turntable for the first time, and then he realizes that they're still using a very old technology for the transducer, the cartridge. So he takes the same principles of the optical cartridge that was started by Toshiba, and he updates it with modern technologies, modern techniques, and DS Audio's own insane engineering. So what does an optical cartridge sound like? Well, imagine combining the very best qualities of digital audio and analog audio. Digital audio, not because the DS Audio is a digital device. It's not. It outputs a pure analog signal. But imagine getting the blackness and the resolution and the dynamic range that you get from digital audio on your record player. Yet it's still an analog signal, so it sounds natural. It has that ineffable something that everybody who has and loves their record players has them for. So we ordered our first DS Audio cartridge a couple of months ago from the distributor, Musical Surroundings. We went straight to the top. we ordered the Grandmaster EX. This is their finest cartridge, perfected even more by making the cantilever and the stylus tip one solid piece of diamond. But because this is such a fine cartridge, we wanted to get as much performance out of it as we could. So as soon as we got it, we sent it right off to J.R. Boyclair of WAM Engineering to have it analyzed. There are a number of specifications of a cartridge that could be closer or further away from where they're supposed to be. And this varies without regard to how expensive the cartridge is. And this isn't the end of the world. If you know how it's off, you can mount that cartridge to correct for those discrepancies. A couple weeks later, JR sent the cartridge back to me, complete with a very detailed report, a bunch of incredible microscopic images of the stylus and cantilever, and a corrective shim. Using those three items, I set up the cartridge perfectly with a couple of my favorite new tools, the Wally Zenith and the Wally Tractor. So according to JR, this particular Grandmaster EX measured in the top third of cartridges he receives. So I put it all together, put on some of my favorite records and listened to it. And it was incredible. It's an amazing, amazing cartridge. You get so much detail. The background is so black. You get so much dynamics from this cartridge. Obviously, it's a very expensive cartridge. It retails at $22,500, so it's not for everybody. But what I wasn't prepared for was how many of the small micro details come through on this cartridge. There's just so much that you wouldn't really notice or might not even hear on another cartridge that comes through clear as day on this cartridge. I'll give you one example. I put on the record Liberty by Annette Askvik. Real common recording among audiophiles because it sounds so good. It's such a great recording. The amount of reverb decay that you can hear in this recording and the amount of fine details in the quiet parts is just amazing. It makes me really excited for the future of vinyl. You know, the technology we have for extracting the sound that's already there keeps getting better and better. We love hi-fi, we love nerding out about it, so let us know if there's any product type, or topic you'd like to see videos on in the future. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.